Hi, it's Ali Memoir, and this is my presentation on AppMobi and Intel XDK. AppMobi was a multi-platform cloud-based development environment. It worked entirely outside of the cloud. Its environment, uh, basically an IDE, was called XDK. You could basically do all your coding, debugging everything online. The build would be stored online, everything. And it was created by Flycast, the same people who brought you Flycast Social Radio. It uses Amazon Web Services. Uh, it uses Amazon S3 for storage, Amazon CloudFront for its downloads, Amazon DevPay for billing, Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud for streaming and transcoding. Uh, Basically, what happened was Intel bought XDK, and at Mobi, the developers were also not bought, but they moved on to Intel. Um, so at Mobi is now it provides services for XDK, but the environment itself is not on the cloud, and it's run by Intel, and it's installed locally. But your builds are still in the cloud, and a lot of the services are still in the cloud. And why should you use this IDE? Why should you use XDK? Well, it's it uses some technology called hybrid apps, and the idea is you write once and you release it everywhere. So whatever code you wrote for this project, you can release it on both iPhone and Android and other systems, as we'll see. And it uses JavaScript, CSS style sheets, Node WebKit backend, and HTML5. So basically, you don't need to know Objective-C or the Apple libraries to write iPhone apps, and you can still debug on the actual phone, but there is an emulator as well. And you don't need to know Visual Basic.net, and there's a phone emulator, and you can debug on the actual phone. You don't need to know Java. Anyways, it'll convert your project into all these different binaries, as well as Windows 8, Amazon, Nook, Tizen, Chrome, Facebook, Firefox, and I'm running a Ubuntu system here, but you can also install this on Windows and Mac OS X. There's a bunch of different features that it'll provide templates for you. It'll provide UI frameworks. Its editor is open source and it's called Brackets, and it'll even give you some demos. So if you guys want to check this out, just Google Intel XDK, install it, and you just use the demos and see how it works. And we'll get into that. There's plenty of game support. There's support for Construct 2, Cocos 2D, Phaser, MPXE, Easel.js, and Create.js engines. There's a game asset manager for games. There's support for Google Play and Apple Game Services. There's support for Gamepad and Joystick. There's a Intel XDK plugin for Sublime Text, and the access is in the toolbar. And it uses Cordova 4.x containers with hundreds of cross-platform APIs. There's PhoneGap, Cordova, GitHub repository support through third-party plugins. There's Adobe Data Stream Services, Maps, Secure Storage and Data. and you can put up advertisements in your app for money. You can access all the features native to the platforms through the Cordova API, and like I mentioned, the build system is cloud-based. You can even develop a Crosswalk RT for Android. So since Intel took AppMobi, what services does AppMobi feature? Well, it plays a supporting role, and there's pretty seamless integration between the two. So one of the services is that AppMobi does the push messaging service for Intel XDK, which supports all 3 phones in Windows 8. It also has something called OneTouch, which lets you interface between various app stores using just JavaScript. There's Live Update, which you can update your app onto the AppMobi website, and it'll submit the changes for you to the various stores. There's PlayMobi, which is a cross-platform game API, and what it lets you do is integrate badges, leaderboards, game analytics, and it provides like all these statistics for you. And then there's App Ads, which lets you advertise your other apps as well. So let's say you have like an Android app, and it's running. You'll see you can put in an ad for one of your apps, which might be some sort of office software or something. It'll give you feedback on how your app is doing on multiple platforms through StoreView. And I want to mention some alternatives to this IDE, this service, and one of them is PhoneGap, and it was built by Nitobi, and it's a similar multi-platform hybrid IDE, so it too can create builds for Android, iPhone, and Windows without having to use their own APIs and using JavaScript, HTML5, and CSS3. And the difference is PhoneGap is actually entirely in the cloud. There's Code Anywhere. It's not a hybrid app, so you don't write once, but it is a cloud-based IDE, and there's up to 75 languages you can work with and debug. And one of the cool things that I saw with it is that you can access your code on iOS and Android, as well as just doing it through your browser. And then there's SourceKit, which is a simple text editor. It's a TextMate imitation, and it uses Dropbox for storage. It only uses Dropbox for storage, so that's the only way you could really save your files. And then there's CodeEnvy. CodeEnvy is an IDE which has many different languages like JavaScript, Ruby, Groovy, and Java as a source code manager. You can build environments and debug in the cloud, and there's free and paid subscriptions. You have like basically Pro Edition subscriptions for your company, so everyone can be working on CodeEnvy. And using this software, you can make games, you can make apps for entertainment, business, lifestyle, books, reference, pretty much the whatever you were going to make for Android or iPhone, you can pretty much make it with this software. If you go online, the Intel XDK site has like a lot of samples, and like it'll show you like the different applications people have made using this software. And these are my sources: the Intel site, the AppMobi site, and Amazon. The Amazon AWS site tells you like what services Flycast is using. And I have the IDE running, so we can just take a look. There's some samples here on the desktop that I can bring up. So I went ahead and I used one of the demos and samples that they had on the site, and when I built it, it sent me this link. So my build is in the cloud, and I could send it to the Android marketplace. I'm not sure if you guys can see that well. I can send it to the Android marketplace, and it tells me that I have to enable unknown sources. And this is another build for Windows 8 for just a simple list view app. And this is, one second. This is one of the sample apps that is on the Intel XDK site. And it's called Guide of Italy. And it has like all these different Italian cities, guides for Italian cities. And it's available for both Apple iPhone and Android. What a surprise. Alright. Here's one of the builds for Windows 8. So you can take a look at the source code right here. There was another one which was just a simple list view, which we'll look at in a second. And here's the Windows Phone version, and this is the where is it? Right here. This is the APK. Anyway, so let's look at the IDE itself. Okay, so I have Calc demo up here, and I have a list view. Let me show you guys. One second. Let me show you guys some of the demos they have available. Alright, so this is the Calc demo, and see there's all the HTML code, and you can go to the emulator, and it already has a sample up, Google Nexus, and then you can see the sample, the emulator for the iPhone. And I hope you can see the numbers getting punched in. You can do the Nook, you can do an Ultrabook, and then you'll see how these different devices would take like the orientation. There's like the accelerometer right here, so you could access different features of different devices, geolocation, push AppMobi push services, so you can see it's actually integrated into the IDE itself. There's also this really cool app preview app that you can install on different devices like like Windows 8, iPhone, Google Play, Windows Phone, which will let you test it directly on the phone, without having to use the IDE. There's a debugger where you can connect it, and the last thing I'll show you guys since my time is running out here, is the build portion of the IDE. So you can see here that there's all these different options for this single project. And one last thing I want to show you is this list view, and how, you know, for the XML files, there's a different version for all the different builds that you would want to do. Firefox, Facebook, Crosswalk, Chrome OS, Android. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my presentation, and I hope you guys go out and check out this IDE. It could be really useful for anyone who wants to develop multi-platform. Take care, guys.